All right, bingers, settle in. Welcome back to the Binge. We're here for Season 3. And as you know, with every new season, we like to shake things up a little, keeping things fresh and unpredictable, just like the wild subjects we dive into. This time, we're streamlining the experience, focusing even more on those deep dives into whatever captures our attention. So, for this new season, you'll notice we're pressing pause on a couple of old favorites. The top 10 list and the rant segments will be taking a brief hiatus. But fear not, bingers. Our mission remains the same: to explore anything and everything interesting, pulling back the layers on subjects you never knew you needed to know about. Get ready to go all in, because once you start, you won't want to stop. Let's get to it.
It's the Binge Podcast, where everything's a blast. It's the Binge Podcast, come join us fast.
The day Boston drowned in sweetness. Boston, January 15th, 1919. A raw, unseasonably warm afternoon for midwinter. The city hummed with the post-war energy, a quiet anticipation for the burgeoning Prohibition era, which was just hours from taking effect. Down by the waterfront in the vibrant, bustling North End, a colossal tank stood sentinel, a silent, riveted titan holding over 2 million gallons of dark, viscous molasses. It was a mundane fixture, a behemoth of industry owned by the Purity Distilling Company, its contents destined for the production of industrial alcohol, or perhaps for rum production. Nobody knew it was a ticking time bomb, and that sweet, sticky future was about to burst forth with horrifying, surreal force, forever staining the cobblestone streets and the memory of a neighborhood. At precisely 12:40 p.m., the very air around Commercial Street seemed to crackle with an unnatural tension. A low rumble, a series of sharp, thunderous reports echoing like artillery fire, and then an unimaginable roar. The colossal tank, its riveted seams groaning under the strain of overfilled capacity and the unseasonable warmth causing its molasses contents to expand, fractured with catastrophic force. Steel ripped with a sound like machine gun fire, a sound that eyewitnesses described as terrifyingly precise. And then, a wave unlike any seen before surged into the unsuspecting street. Not water, but a monstrous tsunami, a dark churning wall of syrupy destruction. Imagine it. A liquid avalanche of molasses between 15 and 25 feet high at its crest, moving at an estimated 35 miles per hour, an almost inconceivable speed for such a dense substance. It was a force of nature, deceptively slow-moving in its appearance, yet impossibly powerful in its impact. Horse-drawing carts were lifted and tossed like toys, their terrified neighs swallowed by the sticky torrent. A freight train, rumbling along its tracks, was derailed as if hit by a giant unseen fist. Buildings, some several stories tall and seeming sturdy, were ripped from their very foundations, their timbers splintering into kindling with sickening crunches. Houses were swept away as easily as driftwood. Streetcars were crushed into mangled wrecks, and people, going about their ordinary midday routines, caught entirely by surprise, were engulfed. The wave was so immense, so dense, that it literally smothered those in its path, crushing them against debris, dragging them under, and coating them in a suffocating, inescapable blanket of sweetness. The sheer overwhelming stickiness became an enemy in itself, making escape almost impossible. Limbs stuck, shoes were pulled off, and the thick liquid clung with merciless tenacity. Rescue workers would later describe the horrifying difficulty of extricating victims from the goo, finding bodies unrecognizable, perfectly preserved in their sweet tomb, but tragically lost. The aftermath was a scene of apocalyptic absurdity, a landscape of bizarre devastation. The entire North End, typically a vibrant tapestry of brick and cobblestone, was transformed into a vast, sticky swamp. Rescue efforts were immediate but agonizingly slow and arduous. Firefighters waded through waist-deep molasses, their movements hampered. Attempting to pull survivors from the splintered wreckage, ambulances struggled to navigate the viscous streets, their wheels sinking and spinning uselessly in the thick brown goo. For days, the air hung heavy with the cloying, sticky sweet smell, a pervasive, inescapable odor that permeated every building, every piece of clothing, every memory. Divers had to be brought in to search for victims in the deepest pools of syrup, a gruesome and surreal task. The cleanup was a monumental undertaking requiring not just weeks but months. Salt water from fireboats was used to blast away the molasses, followed by layers of sand to absorb the sticky residue. Even after the most diligent efforts, locals claimed that the faint, sweet smell of molasses lingered in the air of the North End for decades, especially on hot summer days, a phantom scent of catastrophe. The disaster claimed 21 lives and injured over 150 others, many suffering broken bones, internal injuries, and psychological trauma that would last a lifetime. Property damage was estimated at over $100 million in today's money, devastating a thriving working-class neighborhood. A massive class action lawsuit ensued, dragging on for years with hundreds of plaintiffs seeking justice against the Purity Distilling Company. The lengthy and meticulous investigation revealed glaring negligence on the part of the company. The tank had been poorly constructed, its steel walls too thin, its riveted seams inadequately fastened, and its structural weakness ignored despite numerous warnings and visible leaks prior to the catastrophe. The court case, one of the longest in Massachusetts history, spanning 5 years, ultimately found the Purity Distilling Company liable, setting important precedents for corporate accountability and liability in industrial accidents. It highlighted the critical importance of proper engineering and safety regulations, proving that a company could be held responsible for even the most unforeseen of industrial disasters. The Great Molasses Flood remains one of the most bizarre and tragic events in American history, a stark, syrupy reminder that even the most innocuous industrial products, when mishandled or contained with disregard, can become instruments of unimaginable destruction. It's a tale that sounds like fiction, a darkly humorous disaster pulled from a fantastical nightmare, yet it was brutally real. A moment when a vibrant, unsuspecting section of Boston literally drowned in sweetness, leaving an indelible mark on its history and its very air. The Curious Case of Major William Martin's Dead Man's Bluff. In the grim, smoke-filled war rooms of London in early 1943, the air was thick with desperation. The Allies were staring down the barrel of a full-scale invasion of Sicily, a strategic stepping stone to mainland Europe. But the Germans, those meticulous bastards, they knew it! Their intelligence was too good, their defenses too robust. Sending thousands of men to their deaths in a frontal assault felt less like a strategy and more like a goddamn suicide pact. Something had to give, something drastic. Enter 2 brilliant, slightly eccentric British intelligence officers, Ewan Montague and Charles Cholmondeley. Their idea? It was so insane, so utterly preposterous, that it just might work. They proposed inventing a fictional officer, killing him, and then dropping his body, complete with highly classified, utterly misleading invasion plans, right into the Germans' lap. The official term was strategic deception, but what they were really conjuring was a dead man's bluff. And this wasn't some hypothetical bullshit. They needed a body, a real, recently deceased human being. Finding a suitable corpse wasn't exactly easy, as you might imagine. They needed someone who looked like he'd drowned, not been shot or blown up. They finally located a Welsh vagrant named Glyndwr Michael, who had died from rat poison ingestion. Perfect. Or as perfect as a corpse could be. They gave him a new identity, Major William Martin of the Royal Marines. A meticulous backstory was crafted, a false life imbued into his stiffening limbs. He had a fiancée, Pamela, a pair of worn-out theater ticket stubs, love letters, a bank overdraft notice, because even dead spies needed financial woes, and even an irate letter from his bank manager. Every single detail was designed to convince any German operative that this man was real, a genuine officer on a critical mission. "We can't have this poor sod looking like some random floater," Montague reportedly grumbled. "He needed to look like he's lived before he died." The crown jewel of this macabre charade was the briefcase chained to his wrist. Inside lay the forged document signed by a high-ranking British officer indicating that the Allies were planning to invade Greece and Sardinia, with Sicily merely a feint. The information was tantalizingly specific, just believable enough to hook even the most cynical German analyst. On April 30th, 1943, under the cloak of darkness and absolute secrecy, Major William Martin's corpse, packed in dry ice, was loaded onto a submarine, HMS Seraph. "God help us if a U-boat spots this," one sailor probably thought, eyeing the strange cargo. The submarine surfaced off the coast of Spain, a known neutral but fast as sympathetic country teeming with German agents. The body was gently slipped into the cold, dark waters. The briefcase, still chained to his wrist, bobbed ominously. "Right," Cholmondeley likely muttered, watching it drift away. "Your move, you Krauts. Don't fuck this up." The waiting was the worst part. Days crawled by, then the news broke. A Spanish fisherman had found the body. The British requested its return, making a show of being concerned about highly sensitive documents that absolutely must not fall into enemy hands. This, of course, was the bait. The Spanish authorities conveniently passed the briefcase contents to German agents who dutifully photographed everything before returning the originals. The Germans swallowed it hook, line, and sinker. Hitler himself was convinced. He diverted entire divisions, including a crucial panzer unit, away from Sicily and towards Greece and Sardinia. He even ordered mines laid in the very waters where the Allies would later conduct a successful landing in Sicily. Operation Mincemeat was a resounding success. The Allied invasion of Sicily, Operation Husky, launched on July 10, 1943, caught the Germans completely off guard. Casualties were far lower than anticipated, and the beachhead was secured much faster. The sheer audacity of tricking an entire army with a dead man and a few forged letters was mind-boggling. It proved that sometimes the most unbelievable lie is the one that's most readily believed. And it all hinged on the life and death of Major William Martin, a man who never existed, but whose death saved thousands. Let me tell you something, folks. We like to think we're smart, enlightened, living in an age where science has all the goddamn answers, but there was a time, not so long ago, when we were selling poison as medicine, painting it on faces for beauty, and calling it a damn miracle. And the unbelievable part? It glowed in the dark. The Luminous lie, when radium became a killer. It was the early 20th century, and radium was the new sensation, fresh from Marie Curie's groundbreaking isolation. The world didn't just go bonkers for it, it fell into a fever dream. Energy-giving, the newspapers screamed. Youth-restoring, the very essence of life's perpetual motion. Quacks and legitimate companies alike, high on the fumes of scientific discovery and pure, unadulterated greed, shoved radium into everything imaginable. Toothpaste promised brighter smiles, cosmetics a radiant glow, oh, the irony, chocolate bars a vitalizing boost, and yes, even suppositories for ailments you dared not name. This glowing invisible killer was marketed as the ultimate health tonic, the secret to a vigorous, luminous life. People didn't just believe this shit, they craved it. paid good money for it, and the medical community, in its infinite wisdom, was largely complicit, too caught up in the dazzling light of what they thought was progress. But the real, horrifying story, the one that claws at your gut, unfolded in the dimly lit radium-dusted factories of places like the United States Radium Corporation. Here, young women, mostly teenagers, their futures as bright as the paint they handled, were hired to apply luminous numbers and hands to watches and clocks for soldiers during World War I. These were the Radium girls, bright, enthusiastic, just trying to earn a decent wage in a world that offered few opportunities for young women. Their job was simple: dip a fine brush into pots of the radiant radium paint, and then, to get that impossibly sharp point for precision work, they'd often lick the brush tip, a quick, innocent gesture. "It's perfectly safe," the foreman would bellow, their voices echoing in the dust-filled rooms, probably with a knowing, cynical smirk. "Good for you, in fact. It makes your cheeks rosy." These poor, unsuspecting girls, their dreams as nascent as the century, were literally ingesting tiny, glowing doses of death, atom by insidious atom, day in and day out. They'd even paint their nails with the shimmering concoction for dances, or coat their teeth to surprise their boyfriends at night, luminous smiles in the dark. They were creating their own beautiful, horrifying glow, utterly unaware that they were painting their own damn death warrants. Then came the sickness. It didn't arrive with a bang, but with a whisper, a creeping chill. First, persistent aching joints, a weariness that sleep couldn't erase. Then, the teeth. They didn't just become loose, they began to fall out. Not with the natural progression of age, but violently, leaving gaping, festering holes. Their jaws, once strong, literally started to rot away, a terrifying, necrotic decay that spread through their bones like a silent fire. Anemia, spontaneous fractures from the slightest movement, tumors that pulsed with a faint, internal luminescence from within their own bodies. It was agonizing, grotesque, a macabre horror show playing out in their very flesh. When these young women, hollow-eyed and increasingly frail, went to doctors, they were dismissed, told it was syphilis, a damning accusation in those times, poverty, or just women's hysteria. The companies, these soulless bastards, denied everything with a chilling conviction. They lied through their teeth, fabricated reports, and dragged their feet with every single legal challenge, their lawyers spinning webs of deceit faster than the girls' bodies were disintegrating. They knew, deep down, they were murdering these girls, piece by agonizing piece, but the profit margins were too damn good to stop. But these women, despite their horrific decline, despite the pain that racked their every waking moment, found a courage that burned brighter than any radium dial. They banded together, weak and dying, to sue the powerful corporations that had poisoned them. It was a brutal, drawn-out legal battle, a grim testament to their unwavering spirit. Their agonizing deaths became a public spectacle, the truth undeniable as their bodies succumbed, forcing the grim reality into the open for all to see. The Radium Girls case became a landmark, a turning point for workers' rights across the globe. It established a crucial precedent for occupational disease compensation and finally, irrevocably, proved that employers had a fundamental responsibility for the safety and well-being of their goddamn workers. It was a victory, yes, but one paved with unspeakable suffering, a triumph born from the ashes of their tragically short, luminous lives. And then there was the Radithor. Sold by a snake oil salesman named William J. A. Bailey, it was essentially distilled water with a significant lethal dose of radium. Marketed as a cure-all, a perpetual sunshine elixir, it promised a boundless energy and vigor. Its most famous victim was Eben Byers, a wealthy industrialist and amateur golfer, a man who could afford any luxury. He consumed bottle after bottle of the stuff, convinced it was making him stronger, a testament to its supposed power. He boasted about it to friends, recommended it freely, until his teeth started falling out, and then his jaw, then significant portions of his skull. His body was literally disintegrating from the inside out, a living, glowing testament to the horrific power of unchecked greed and scientific ignorance. He died a slow, agonizing death, his body riddled with holes, a cautionary tale of blind faith and false miracles. The legacy of Radium isn't just a dark stain on scientific hubris and corporate rapacity. It's a chilling reminder that sometimes the things that promise us eternal youth or miraculous cures are, in fact, silently, irrevocably destroying us. It's a terrifying piece of history that should make you pause, make you question every goddamn miracle cure you ever see, and make you realize that true progress demands not just innovation, but an unflinching commitment to truth and human safety. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please like and subscribe.
Tune in right now. Got stories to tell, from the small to the grand, all under one spell. We talk about this, we laugh about that, from the strange to the bliss. Get ready to chat. It's the Binge Podcast, where everything's a blast. It's the Binge Podcast, come join us fast. Right now, got stories to tell, from the small to the grand, all under one spell. We talk about this, we laugh about that, from the strange to the bliss. Get ready to chat. It's the Binge Podcast, where everything's a blast. It's the Binge Podcast, come join us fast. Where everything's a blast. It's the Binge Podcast, come join us fast. Tune in right now. Stories to tell, from the small to the grand, all under one spell. We talk about this, we laugh about that, from the strange to the bliss. Get ready to chat. It's the Binge Podcast, where everything's a blast. It's the Binge Podcast, come join us fast.